This afternoon, 2024, April, we're going to talk with 4 people from St. Mary's Church. And we're going to try and bring out some of the early history as well as the history of the church we're sitting in right now. And we discovered in the papers here, when was the church first built? Charlene, you got that in front of you.
1888. The
First
church,
church.
the first
Okay,
church.
the first church.
Yes.
And that's on 2nd Street, right?
Yes.
2nd Street in Nipigon then, down towards the marina it was built, which is next door to where we are, I guess, a little bit now. Anyway, that, you could talk about the first people then that came.
Reverend Percy, is it Bull?
Mm-hmm.
Back here? Let's see, where did you have it here?
Right there.
1913, Reverend Percy F. Bull, St. Mary's Parish priest, was holding services in a Farmers Club hall and the old schoolhouse, but went ahead with the Anglican services here as things were being formed when he lived across here in this barn-style house. He conducted services in Dorian, we met, Pearl, Loon Lake, and later at Hercot, as well as other points of parishes, even up in Lake Nipigon. I remember that part. We used to go up there and bring people in and help them out. So that much I know, and after there, we took the other ministers and priests from there on who were.
Reimers, and it went on. Reverend Reimers came, and then Reverend Gibbs. After Reverend Gibbs, I think Reverend Inshaw. And then George Cobell.
Yeah, in 1974
Yeah. And
to 77.
And then after Cobell, and there was times in between that we had no minister. It was lay-led services. And then after, was it Larry Winslow that came after?
Schnell.
No, Schnell was quite a bit further down.
Okay.
Larry Winslow, maybe? Or Mike,
Probably.
and Mike McCarthy,
Yep,
and then Reverend Snell.
yep.
And there was Tim
Tim Delaney, he's in New
Tim
Zealand
Delaney?
now.
Oh, we can't forget
Tim
him.
Delaney, yeah, he's in New
Yeah.
Zealand. Yeah, and then I guess Doug, and then Diane,
Doug McClure and Diane Winslow.
no,
Diane
McElroy,
McElroy?
McElroy, yeah.
McElroy? Yes.
And then we had Patty Brees.
There was 21 between the time that this started
Mhm.
till we got to 1994 with George Cobell,
Okay,
and there was 9 after that.
oh, okay, so there you go, 30.
A lot of people then.
And that's not
Yeah.
counting Jam that we have right now.
Yeah.
It is counting Jam, okay.
Right.
Yeah, so that's quite a few.
That's quite a few
Yeah.
people, right, who've gone away, hopefully with good memories of being here.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
some of them were active, really active in the community, I remember that.
Yes.
Some, I don't remember their names because I didn't see them out and about. Other ones, you knew they were here because they were active in the community.
And a lot of them, it was a 3-year stint, I'll say, because
Okay.
that's what they had to sign up for 3 years. And then a lot of them said, okay, that was fine, 3 years, and then they moved on. So that, it was almost hard to really get to know them well because 3 years is not a very long time.
Were they able to stay longer if they wanted to?
I believe so, well, Reverend McClure did, and Reverend Diane McElroy, they both stayed
Okay.
12 and 13 years, I think.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think it was up to them.
Yeah. So maybe that's what, you're right, why you remember them then, because they're here longer. I mean, it takes a whole year to get to know somebody.
Oh, gosh,
If
yes.
you're not
Yeah.
active in the church.
Absolutely.
You do, yeah, for sure. So the church then was built, any idea in there, Charlene, like who built that church? The parishioners? The little one next door?
I'm assuming that, yeah.
I
it
would
was-
have thought
yeah.
so.
Yeah, the parishioners. There was a picture somewhere, I can't remember what it was. Old picture that we had in the front.
Mhm.
It showed the group of them together when they made the decision to build that. And then they decided later on in life that it wasn't big enough. So those ones from Red Rock, that used to be a prisoner of war camp,
Mhm.
they had the extra building outside, and they're trying to figure out how they're gonna get it over here, because we could get it for free to add on to the church. They decided not to add on to the church, but to put it separate in the back.
Yeah, the parish hall.
So they hauled piece by water, across the water, and up to here.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that was there for quite a few years.
Parish Hall,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
What did you hold in that parish hall?
Sunday school. I remember Sunday school being there. Men's fellowship.
Yep,
I remember George Cavell using it as a type of office.
yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess-
All
And it was
meetings.
rented out because the guides and scouts both used it.
Oh, okay, okay.
For meetings.
Yep.
I remember that part. Yeah. So then along came the basement then. The desire of the
Well,
parishioners.
the parish hall got to be so old, the floor was caving in, and Adrian and them were doing lots of work during the big strike at Red Rock then. So you just couldn't keep pouring money into that whole
No,
building,
No.
and they needed something to, how would you say, make things better or increase the stability of the building.
Mhm.
So instead of just adding and fixing the building all the time, they decided through with the seniors to put a basement,
Okay.
and you had the rest on that.
Well, it was through government grants and the seniors club and the church. The actual church was consecrated in 1888
Okay.
when they built the new church. But,
Can you remember, Glenn, did you contract out that basement? Did a lot of parishioners help again, or?
You know, I really can't remember.
I think it was, again, parishioners. Because
Yeah,
in
I think
those
so,
days,
too.
that's what most churches depended on, was the
Yeah.
congregation and the help they could. It would be like George O'Neill, Dick Went,
Yes,
you know, that era.
had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Dick was right in there,
Mhm,
and even in the end there, we had a crew repairing the outside, voluntary, and painting it and fixing everything up, and they had the basement done, but like you said, it was too small.
mhm,
It just wasn't, we were trying to do everything,
yeah.
and haul stuff up and down that basement, and Adrian and the boys built a nice ramp at the front for wheelchair accessible.
Right.
And just to keep up, like, we put modern furnace in there, fix up the tables downstairs. It was really quaint.
And when the Silver Club was there, remember they had the big shuffleboard along the one
Yes.
wall? Yes, so that took up quite a,
Yeah.
which was fine, because that was the whole deal, that we shared it with them.
Yeah.
But, and then they'd have armchairs, like it was big things that took up a lot of the space.
Yeah,
So it was very difficult to share.
Right.
And then I think they must have got another grant for where they are now.
so well, who built the back room for the Sunday school kids?
That was, I think, was that the Silver Club that did that? Was that part of the? No, it was all open when the Silver Club was there, right? Did you guys build that wall?
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
Thought so.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, to separate it, for separate, because that was a nursery then.
Yeah.
When we had the wall in the
Okay.
back, that separated.
You know, and the parishioners did so much work, even Tack, boy, call it, like,
Mm-hmm.
he'd follow Adrian around and they'd put up the cameras, because
Yeah.
we could do upstairs. If you had a funeral or something going on,
Right.
and there's too many people, whatever happened upstairs, you could watch it downstairs.
Right.
We don't even have that.
But they had to haul the TV up and down the stairs, and that was before flat screen TV, right?
Yeah.
How heavy were those TVs? Adrian and Eddie up and down the stairs with this crazy TV.
Yeah. But that was quite a modern thing all of a sudden. For
Absolutely.
that to be able to happen.
Mhm.
Because in a small town, just like today, that's when the only time the church is packed, is when there's a wedding or a funeral.
Yeah.
But the funerals are, that was a neat way to do it, that's for sure.
So we're sitting now where the museum used to be, right?
Right.
Where the old
The original.
Woodlands office used to be.
Right.
For Brompton Pulp and Paper or whatever.
Yeah,
How did we get this land?
we bought it.
We bought it? Because there's big trees here, that had to be cut down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
There's a piece right there that's
Yeah,
painted
yeah.
across.
Yeah.
yes. I remember
then-
that, cutting the trees down.
Yeah,
And,
Jimmy Dampier did
Yeah.
it.
yeah, I'm gonna say, I think I remember there was a couple of.
Yeah, they were some big ones, yeah, you're right, Glenn.
so who came up with the idea of building a new church and why?
Well, it was during Doug McClure's
yeah,
stay, and I think we had a meeting with the deanery or the diocese, I'm not sure, and we had it downstairs in the basement, and we showed them what we did to make do. I don't know, do you remember that? And there was tables set up in front of the kitchen with long tablecloths to the floor. So I'd flip up the tablecloth, and it's all storage. It would be boxes and boxes under there, because we had nowhere to put it. The fire escape was another place, remember, where we stored stuff.
Oh my God.
And it was horrid, it really was. And then we had all those cupboards in the back, and they were just full of, like, you've got your Sunday school stuff, you've got,
But it's interesting you mentioned the fire escape. It's a wonder there wasn't a fire chief looking at it.
Dick went.
Oh, well, I guess, yeah. I was gonna say that basement would have been deadly
Oh, absolutely.
if it had been a fire.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. We did, I mean, you could get out the fire escape, I didn't make it mean it sounded
No,
all that
still,
bad.
even to rush out of that basement. If a
Oh,
group of people.
Well, now we are told we cannot block that fire, that door. Like, there shouldn't be a table or anything in front of that door, because it's a fire exit.
Yes.
And we smile and think, oh my, what we had at the old church.
Yeah.
And now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 doors to
Right.
get out of.
Right.
And we've had practices to do it too.
And it's just amazing when you think almost what you got away with,
Yeah.
and nothing happened, thank goodness.
Mhm.
But there was touch and go, I bet, sometimes with the amount of space you didn't have.
Absolutely.
And I think that all the churches, I just know United Church and this church were about the same size, so
Yeah.
nobody had any space.
Yeah.
And those were the days when the parishioners could do the work. Now you can't.
Yeah.
Now it has to be contracted out. Tell the story about Eddie and the roof on the rectory.
Eddie was,
Eddie Atwell.
Yes, sorry.
he wanted to see where the leak was. There was a leak.
In the rectory.
So, in the rectory. So he put a ladder to go up. But then he grabbed another ladder and he put it on this ladder to go up the roof. So he told Tony Peel, he says, you hold on to that. So Tony Peel said, okay. So all of a sudden, there's Eddie goes right up, and then he goes up on the other one. No, he's up on top of the roof. That's on the cemetery side.
I said,
And that's deep, I mean, that's
steep, yes.
steep. So then, all of a sudden, Tony Peel sees somebody on the road that he knows, and he takes off and goes and sees the guy. And all of a sudden, the ladder starts to go down. So Eddie grabs a
Screwdriver.
screwdriver out of his pocket, bang, right in the roof, and then he held on. Adrian!
No, Tony, he was yelling.
Yeah, well, I was there too.
Oh, he yelled for you? Oh, my God.
So anyway, we grabbed the ladders, put him back up. Oh my
So I
God.
can see why they don't like parishioners to do some of the
Yeah.
jobs.
See, usually they got a rope and they go right over top
Right? Yeah.
and
Hook it to the
secure it.
fence.
Yeah.
See?
And then at least you
Yeah.
got something.
Does it
Something
tell you in there when the manse was built?
I haven't found it yet, but I thought it was kind of interesting that the first Church of St. Mary's Parish was built in 1880 as a mission to the indigenous people of Lake Nipigon.
Ah, because that's when the missionaries came,
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
the Lake Nipigon area.
Mhm.
I think I read that too, yeah. No, I was just thinking, now you got talking about the manse, when it would have been built.
I think in the 50s.
Director?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been the 50s because,
Because didn't they live in the house at the corner?
Yep.
Before that, when you, like you
yeah,
said?
and then
Oh,
Shaw.
Oh, they lived across, right?
That was the
Yep.
manse,
Right,
yeah.
right. So it's been after Inshaw then?
Yep.
Because he
Well,
lived.
not really, because
No.
Ed Shaw went with it. He ended up living in here too.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say
Yes.
Reimers. I think Reimers was the one that instigated.
I think
or
so,
was,
too.
Was there a Large? A Reverend Large?
I don't know, but I think you're right about Reimers though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think, Kathy, that you were able to get grants for a rectory, or you had to raise? your
I don't
own
think in
money?
those days there was such a thing as grants like there is now, no. So I think it was out of pocket.
Funding,
Yeah.
fundraising maybe
Yeah.
then.
And again, being a small community, I think, like we found when we built this church, the businesses were so good,
Right,
they to donate
right.
different things
Yes.
and, you know, the dirt, the work.
Well, and you think the plumbers and the electricians all work at the mill.
Mhm.
So they were,
So fortunate.
yeah, giving their time, right?
Right.
Yeah. those are the things that help,
If it wasn't for volunteers, we probably couldn't do it.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We could go on and on, like, when they decided to build this church. And I think we ran out of money, right?
When,
When it was being built?
yeah, because we had to have more Q-Proc, about 100 sheets. So there's one guy to come up and he says, would it cost you $1,000 to get all the rest of the sheets? I says, probably. So he says, let me know. So, okay. So we needed doors. So somebody come and they said, here's 1,500 for the doors, and here's 1,000.
And these weren't all local people, some of them were from Thunder Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah, paid for.
from all over.
Right, right.
And you were giving money, like, there you are.
And
There's-
labor.
Yeah, and there's a woman,
From Jody, right?
Oh, yeah. Payroll.
The siding,
Yeah.
the insulation, it was like, we had one lady that used to come park her car outside here, and she'd pray for everybody,
Yeah.
for this building. And when she's sitting outside, Adrian would be sitting over there, and he'd be saying a prayer, like, Lord, I need help today, like, we need quite a few people. So within a period of time, that amount of people would come in, and he'd be getting things done. Well, then you got all this woodwork to do in the kitchen, and lo and behold, we get this guy that comes in, he's an OPP. But he used to be a carpenter before he went OPP. He came in and he's showing us how to do the cupboards and everything, and Adrian's learning how to use the, what do you call it, gun? Shoots the, you know?
But then he
Nail
built them
gun.
for us, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he did a lot of work on
Oh,
that,
yeah,
too.
yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
In the
yeah.
rooms, that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's gotta be all painted. So lo and behold, along comes Tony Stockwell from the other church. He's working for Hydro, a utility man.
Right.
And
so I says to, he says to me, he says, when you're ready to paint, let me know. I said, well, that's very nice, but we got no money for the paint. Oh, no, he says, I gotta talk to Hydro. They're gonna supply the paint. So they supplied the paint. And we had Bob Sorensen working, and he was putting out the G-Proc and everything. Like, you know, the thing that
Yeah.
went on,
And Linda's husband,
And,
the other guy, what was his name? Worked with Thornstein, doing all the work. The one that lost all the weight, Linda, up on top of McCurdy up there.
Thompson, no.
No,
Because Hans Salomon did some work here too,
Hans
didn't
did a
he?
lot of work.
Oh,
He did
yeah.
a lot of plumbing. and
Hans
everything.
did a lot of work.
Yeah, okay, I
Yeah.
thought so.
And then who else? Well, when Tony came in, he spray painted everything.
Yeah,
Because I used to say to her, oh, why aren't you phoning guys? Like, why are you just going there on your own? Like, phone up, you know, women would do that. But no, he said, we're fine. Then he'd come home. and-
no, even Doug McClure, he called to me, phone the guys for tomorrow. We need 12 guys. I says, no. He says, what do you mean? I said, I'm gonna pray. So I prayed, and 12 guys showed up.
It was.
So then,
awesome,
How's your time there?
Yeah.
too.
So he
this
says,
went on and on like that.
he said, oh my God, like, well, I need eight guys the next day. I prayed, 8 guys showed up. And that's the way this church was built.
Yeah.
So when you built this church, she's mentioning the other communities, but it was more Nipigon people at the time, because Red Rock had their own church.
Right, and so did
it was
Dorian.
Nipigon people that you were using this church for. And who made the decision on the design?
Well, that
Oh,
was.
they had an architect.
Yeah.
Okay, you
Hired.
hired an architect.
Yeah, we hired
But
an
you must have
architect.
told him some of the things you wanted.
Yeah, he says, what do you need it for? What do you need? So we need a fellowship hall, we need a church, we need offices, and we need,
And no basement.
no basement.
No, we wanted it wheelchair accessible, yeah.
Yeah, which was good.
Yeah, because even that bar in the middle of those 2 doors out there, that comes out.
So does ours.
Okay, so if,
Yeah.
if there's something wider that has.
Don Ross had a lot to do with that too,
Who's
Yeah.
that?
Don Ross.
Oh, okay.
Because he knew how to handle financial stuff and
Right.
intricate stuff. he had a little way of doing things. He never admitted afterwards, but he was one in the meetings. Doug would get in there at the hospital common room, and they would get around the table and they're discussing, and Doug McClure would back out of it because he's not building it. You're building it. The community's building it. But Don Ross had a lot to do with that.
Okay.
But this is not the original building that we had picked, because there was
No.
a skylight, which, as you know, living up north is a no-no. Anyway, and,
But it was too much money.
and of course it was, yeah, it was the money too, and we just shut it, word skylight. So then somebody had gone to Thunder Bay and been to a brand new church
Miss
that
Nichols.
had been built.
Miss
Oh, that was Nichols.
Yeah, Miss Nichols.
Carolyn Nichols.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And she said, it's, Adrian, she said, you gotta come and see it. So we went up, and they were so good, they gave us a tour of, and we said, oh heavens, this is what we need. Because it was almost perfect, to what our needs were. So now, then did they recalculate the,
they gave us the blueprints,
okay,
and we gave them to an architect, and he said, well, you can't build the same as we got. So what you're gonna have to do is change it around.
a little bit.
So, see, we got the church here, well, the church was over there, and the fellowship was here.
So just minor.
And they had, in the front, they had a square room
yeah.
that goes right up.
I know, it wasn't
See?
sure what the purpose of that.
So
Skylight.
the thing is that
No, it was good.
we changed everything around, and this is what we got.
But you saw the basic things at that other church.
Yes,
That
yes.
what fitted what you needed,
Yeah.
right?
Couldn't afford to do this style, so it was
Yeah.
different.
That was
This was a different style, right? With hexagon kind of built. And the one that she saw at Thunder Bay, she said, it sounds like that'll suffice your needs.
Yeah, yeah.
Come and look. So they go look and they decided, okay, now somebody has to build a model. So they built this little model.
Who did that, the architect?
I don't know.
Oh,
It was this
somebody-
building here, built into a model. Now we have to get approval for the money and for the rights
For
to be
the
able to build
diocese.
this thing, so he's
So
got
we've
it.
already spent thousands of dollars.
He takes the model in the back of his car and drives down to Sudbury to one of the big meetings.
So then, they said, well, you can't be at the meeting. I says, what do you mean? Well, no, well, you can be there, but you can't say anything. And for me not to say anything, that's pretty hard. So I said, okay. So I set up the little model, then I took off. So I was going to go around Sudbury and see the sights. And my daughter, Joelle, she phones from Trenton. She says, Dad, I was gonna come and see you. I says, no, it's too far. She said, it's only 5 hours. I said, well, no, I says, that's all right. So it's 11:30. So when we hung up, I says, 11:30. If I take off now, I could be there at 4:30. So I put the gas in the car and we took off.
That'll be about it.
So I went over and she was living in Badawa. So I go by the Bada factory and all of a sudden I phoned her up. You got the coffee on? She says, no, but I can. I said, I'm here. Yeah, she says. So I says, come outside, I'll flick the lights. So I flicked the lights and she could see me. Oh my gosh, she said. So she put the coffee on. So I stayed there, we had supper, then I took off, come back. So when I came back, the archdeacon from Thunder Bay, he's waiting for me. So he comes out in his gotch.
Let's say that.
We were staying in a place in Sudbury where we had the meeting, we had a kitchen, we had everything. Everything was done for us. So he says, Adrian, he says, where were you? So I told him, you kidding? I said, no. He says, it didn't pass. I says, how come? I don't know, he says. So he says, you better be there tomorrow. I said, okay. So I went to sleep. The next day I was talking to the bishop. And I said, I says, St. Mary's is good for it. I says, it's a good bunch of people, and we're active. So anyway, the meeting started, so I can't say anything. So I says, how come they never had no prayer? to start the meeting. No prayer. So I put my head down, I started to pray. I said, Lord, if it's your will that we have this church, open the doors. If it's not, close them. All of a sudden I'm praying, and I hear the bishop, Adrian, I says, yes. He says, go back and tell Doug he's got the approval. I said, well, praise the Lord. So I took off, eh? So I came back here and we had the approval.
Wow.
So this is how it started.
And it's paid for.
And every step that we did, the Lord was in it. And there was people praying for the
Every
church
room,
here.
Yeah.
Every room that's in this building,
Everybody got a
people
room.
were praying every day for it. Gay Harris
And that's
used to
not
come
So, yeah,
in this door, and she'd go.
yeah.
And she had the men's washroom, I
And
remember
then
that.
she said, okay, see you guys later, and she'd take off.
She'd pray for the whole building, but
Yeah.
she had the men's washroom.
And the ladies of the church, they made lunch for us
Oh, every day.
when we were working.
The food.
And I'll tell you, the food,
Yeah.
you could have fed a whole bunch of people.
And we were just talking yesterday about Phil.
Yeah,
Phil Finlayson, every day he was his orange cap on. Adrian said, you never tripped over a piece of anything on the floor because he constantly kept the
Clean.
floor clean. And how
Yeah.
important that was when you were working
Yeah.
here. And, I'll say small things that you don't even think about. But he was here every day, all day long. And him and his broom, he kept.
Yeah, well, Jack Hamilton was cutting a piece of wood on a big saw, and it flew. And believe it or not, Phil had that off the floor faster than it landed.
oh no,
Good bunch.
the way this church was built. And then when the bishop came, and we started in April, and in May, when he came, he was right here, and he says, there's only one word for the whole thing, astound.
Astounding, yeah.
He says, I don't want to take anything from the service, but astound. And that's how it was.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, we need chairs, we need tables. So there's a family that took care of that.
Mhm.
Then we were putting the rugs down and carpet, and we were missing quite a bit. And one family come up and $21,000. You know what they paid? And it was like this all along. And even after everything was done, we put in those speakers. We got 18 speakers, and we got
Sound system.
a sound system right there.
Hearing?
And
Oh, yeah.
all of a sudden, there's Garth
Evans?
He says, I come to church, but he said, I can't hear. So we got some headsets. They came from Germany.
For people with hearing.
And all of a sudden, he says, let me know how much you need.
Yeah.
So people were giving.
For
People.
that, yeah.
So then he gave the biggest part.
Yeah. He had.
So then all of a sudden, he came here one Sunday, and we had the headsets, and he put them on, and we started. And he says, oh my God, I can hear! I can hear!
Right out loud.
And he was just
Right in the middle of the
screaming.
service. Yeah.
And everybody was crying
Yeah, it was so nice.
because it was beautiful, you know, the way it was.
Yeah,
But, I mean, without Jesus,
yeah.
nothing would have. In 10 years, we paid for the church.
So when you
So-
look back, how fortunate it was that the museum burned down.
Well,
Thing to
really,
say, but you're probably right.
Really?
But I mean, you would never have got this piece of property and
No.
never been able to build this church
No.
where that one was. Things, one door opens, one door closes, another opens.
Well, we were very fortunate too, though, money-wise. We had Red Rock pulp paper mill and a plywood mill down here, all
Right.
kinds of work.
Mhm.
Everybody's working.
Right,
Yeah.
plus
So,
the hydro.
money-wise,
Yeah, yeah.
we had an average of 38 people here
Mhm.
every Sunday. I'm pretty sure that's.
Yeah,
what it
oh,
was.
at least, yeah.
So you 38 helping people and volunteers. Wow.
Right,
Like she was saying about Phil cleaning.
right.
After it was built, he was outside cleaning all the time. We still got pictures of that.
Yeah.
And the nice part now is if we want to know something, if there's something going wrong or something in the walls, maybe it moves from structure, which it has, well, we can go back to the pictures
Right,
because people have taken pictures over the years, so we put them in the books. And you could go back to him standing in the middle of the floor and we can look at the walls behind him. Oh, that's where the piping is. That's where the wiring is. You know?
And we still have the blueprints.
Yeah.
So that window there, little Roy says, Roy Vanilla, he says, I got a window. He said, can you use it? I said, well, sure. So we put it right there.
Somebody had ordered it and they hadn't picked it
Yeah,
up. Didn't
so
use it.
then I says, well, we need some doors for the offices and everything. So he gave us a real good price. And he gave us a good price for everything that we needed.
Mhm.
You know, the doors, the windows, everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, oh my God, without people like that,
yeah,
you can't do it.
yeah.
Even the kitchen, that OPP
Glenn was talking
Yeah.
about, right?
that Glenn was talking about, he cut everything for the cupboards. He put them all together with the guys, and you know,
Yeah, he was very good.
while we were here, we were eating, and all of a sudden there's I don't know if you know Pastor Roma Fisher from
on TV.
Thunder Bay. He's native.
Yeah, he does his own program on TV.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he was here to take a look at what we got. So there was 3 guys with him. So we told him, come and eat,
Tour.
because we had lots. So, oh, thank you, he says. So he took a look around, and we were still building. And he says, when he left, he says, I'll send you some money. I said, okay. So we get $500 from him,
Yeah.
from his church,
Yeah.
you know,
For
so
a sandwich.
I guess
Yeah.
that was it. I mean, the money came from all over. It was fantastic.
And the food. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
The food was unreal. Kyoko would come in with trays. The lady that had the cafe,
Georgina.
because she was good friends with the one that was outside praying,
Mm-hmm.
she'd give it sandwiches,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, and coffee. And
So it was a community. It was
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole community.
Al
It
Higgins
wasn't
sat out
just-
the front in his car watching Eddie before this was built. And we had rented a roller,
Packer. Yeah.
Packard, and Eddie's on the Packard, back and forth. Well, Eddie used to work for Mel. And Mel goes over and says, well, what are you doing? So I told him, oh, okay. A few times he'd come and sit out there and he'd watch, bang. And Diane McElroy and her husband come, Robert, and they're next door. Mel drives over and says to them, like, what do you guys want? He said, I want to help. I see all these people helping. How can I help? He said, I'm not in good shape anymore. He said, well, not really. There's not much you can do now. He
It
said,
was
yes, there is.
$50,000.
Here.
Yeah. He wrote her a
Oh,
check for us.
wow.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And who was the other, Rogers, Frank Rogers, he was
Yeah.
on the other Packer because, who owned?
he was on the bulldozer.
Oh, yeah, because that was the only driver that the owner of the bulldozer trusted. He
Yeah.
said, if you can get Frank Rogers to operate it, I'll give you the bulldozer to use.
Yeah, he was licensed, yeah.
And that was free.
Right,
Yeah.
And Donnie Nichols did everything for nothing.
right,
He even took the old church down
right.
for nothing.
Jimmy Nichols gave us.
Jimmy
all
Nichols gave us all the
Gravel.
gravel we needed
Phil.
for nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Donnie came in here after it was built. Now we're in here. He goes next door with his backhoe. You never know if you had to see him do it.
Because
I
the
did.
buildings are only this far
I
apart.
did, I was watching.
Yes,
I
yeah,
got
you took
pictures of that,
pictures.
yeah.
Because the buildings weren't far apart. Remember, we had to put a box around the gas
yeah,
meter because it was touch and go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had one gentleman come here before the building started. We got all the ground packed and everything, eh? And he started walking around looking at the ground and he started picking up arrowheads.
Hmm.
Native arrowheads from years
Really?
ago. And he was saying, I'm going to keep these, give them to the museum.
Yeah, maybe they
Because-
were from the old museum.
That's what he thought. When it burned down.
Wow.
Yeah. So the old museum that burnt down and a lot of stuff got saved from it, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, like you said, We were very fortunate to get this property.
Right, right,
But really, 10 years it was paid.
right.
But don't forget, now we've incorporated Red Rock and Dorian. Without Red Rock and Dorian, it would not have been possible.
No,
And even Eddie Athwell told me, he says, if it wasn't for Jimmy Nichols, it wouldn't have been
No,
possible.
no.
To buy all that gravel,
Yeah,
that would have been
yeah.
big pricey, so.
We're gonna switch a little bit and talk to Charlene about that's other three churches, right then, Charlene?
I only know of two,
Well, Red Rock,
and St. Matthew's and Dorian.
oh, okay.
Were they
Yeah.
all
we used
Anglican?
We used to have the minister go to Scriber to.
St. John's, that was the
Oh,
fourth.
St.
That was the
John's.
fourth.
We had 4.
Yeah.
Okay, just talk about the Red Rock one then.
Oh, okay.
A little bit?
All right. St. Peter's was, like this church, built with volunteers when the mill was active there. And it was built in 1948. And there's a cornerstone apparently that came from St. Olive's Church, Hart Street in London, England.
Oh,
A church that was damaged in World War II in the bombings. It says here that some 2,000 hours of volunteer help went into building that building. And for some years, we shared the church with the United Church because neither one of us could afford to pay all the bills, so it worked out well, but eventually St. Mary's had to help with the finances, and eventually the church was closed in October.
sold it to the United Church for a month, remember?
Yeah, but it closed in October of 2000, and then,
And so your church and our church, the minister did Nipigon and Red Rock, right?
yes,
Yes, both ministers
Mhm.
for the
Yes.
United and the
Dorian too?
Anglican.
yeah, and
Did both
Dorian,
churches and Dorian.
yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and we eventually sold the church to the United Church, and they eventually sold it to a person who made it into a home. Actually, I think it's 2 sort of like apartments.
It was a,
Yeah.
Love to see it.
has
Yeah.
it been sold a second time?
As far as I know it is, but
Okay.
it's only hearsay at this point. I
Okay.
haven't seen any signs.
Okay, I just saw a sign there once, but I know it, yeah.
Mhm.
And it's another church though, in those days, you didn't think about the basements
No.
as much, and that one had a few issues.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember in the basement.
We
as
also
well.
had an attic that was full of storage stuff
Oh.
and whatever. There was actually stained glass windows up there that we donated to the church in Thunder Bay that Reverend Moore started.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
the Anglican Catholic
Bucky.
Church.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who was it put in all the stained windows in the
That was
church?
Hank Sumner that built those
He
windows.
actually made those, yes.
Yeah. And they're still there. They didn't take them out,
So
so.
they kept them there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Downstairs, they had instead of separate rooms, they had curtains.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that's right too.
So then the decision came money-wise, because there wasn't enough support anymore, even with the Dorian Church. So we're gonna have to shut them down, because we can't afford to keep them going. And there's not enough parishioners anymore.
Right.
So we got like Shirley and I'm coming from Red Rock, and some of the people from Dorian come to this day. But then we had to get a committee together to decide, are we gonna shut these down? And why, and how? Mrs. Harding headed that up,
Mhm.
Elizabeth Harding. And she had a crew that went to each place and made the decisions. and shut them
Because it's
down.
very emotional to
Mhm.
Oh,
to
definitely.
say that, make the decision that you're closing that church in your community. It's an emotional
Well,
time.
the Lutherans just went through it.
Okay,
It was a
exactly.
pretty sad
Yeah.
time for them.
Yeah.
for
Well, there
sure.
used to be full churches.
Yeah.
Dorian full, Red Rock full.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I know when we had the last service in St. Peter's then,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty emotional. Roberta was here then, and I remember it was,
Yeah.
it was a pretty.
Dorian actually closed in 2003. And, yeah, it's now a museum.
Museum.
Mhm.
Nice.
That's kind of neat, that
Yeah.
keeps that
At
history.
least it's still open to the public.
Right.
Well, we went out, I think you were there, Adrian, that day, Tack and I and you and somebody else. We went out with Doug McClure. We took all the stuff out of the church at Dorian, boxed it, and Lakehead Freightways, or the other one, was gonna pick it up a week later and take it all the way up to one of the native missions up north,
Oh, wow.
to their church, so they.
All the pews and
Oh,
everything.
oh, I see, oh, the furniture, okay, I was thinking paper, but. okay.
Everything that was on the walls, everything,
Is
pictures,
that right,
everything,
eh? Okay,
yeah, all the stuff from the altar,
yeah.
all bought.
So did you bring anything from the church in Red Rock to
Yes.
this church?
Yes, we have the credence table here on the
Mhm.
side that came
Right.
from Red Rock,
Baptism.
and the baptismal font
Okay,
at the, as you come in the front. And actually, there's a table on the side there that was actually from the United Church that was brought here.
okay.
Yeah, after they closed their church, they,
And this thing too,
That's,
oh, yes,
a
our,
candle,
yes.
candle
Oh, yeah,
holder,
right. Because who made that?
Um,
Dennis.
tennis.
John Tinnis.
Well, I was gonna say it'd be either him or Gladwin Young, either one.
Yeah, it was John Tinnis that
Yeah.
made that.
Yeah.
Did a beautiful job.
And the lights in the
And
entrance.
actually, now when I look at that, I can see some of my boys have got things that are made almost like that, they did in the woodworking.
I was gonna say in high school.
I've got them at home,
Yeah,
yeah, to put the candles in.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and I never really noticed that before.
And you were going to say about the lights?
Just in the entranceway when you first come in, those are the lights from the old church
Oh,
that we
okay.
kept.
Two
Yeah,
lights.
yeah, there's light one on each side, and I think Adrian, was your idea to incorporate.
The ACW bought those.
Yeah, so we brought them, and they suit it, you know what I mean? It's not, they're not the kind that you put
We
in
had
here.
6 in the old church, we only got 2
Mhm.
over here.
Yeah, we sold the others.
So Charlene, was there anything in all that history of like when the Dorians would have been built?
It was finished by 1920, between 20 and 21,
Ooh,
and it was consecrated by the Archbishop of Thornlow, June 14th, 1921.
Oh, okay, it's older than than the Red Rock one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the Red Rock one was the newest
Mhm.
of the three buildings, yeah.
but we all work together, all the churches work together. Sometimes, what we call confirmation or whatever,
Mhm.
would be done at Dorian,
Right.
sometimes in the old parish hall, sometimes at Red Rock.
Yeah.
And one year, they had the confirmation in, before this building was done, in the parish hall down there, and there was a native fellow, just trying to think of his name now, I can't remember. But anyways, he used to do lots of paintings around town
Okay.
on vehicles and stuff like that, if you wanted something fancy. He was very good.
Hmm.
He made all these little wood crosses with little steps, things on the front,
Hmm.
and give them to all the children that were confirmed.
Oh, that was
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Must have missed
So one of the children went up to I can't remember which, who was here then for the priest, the bishop anyways. And he was sitting there and he said, could you please sign this for me so I'll have something for the future, you remember, with the date on it?
Mhm.
And so that kid was about 13 maybe, eh?
Yeah.
And he says, son, I'm really sorry, I can't. He said, that's the Lord's cross, only he can sign it.
No.
Oh.
Who said that? The guy that
Bishop.
built? Oh, the bishop. Okay. Interesting.
Oh. So Red Rock closed again, when did you say? I'm sorry, Shirley.
That's okay. It was, October 2000.
2000, 24 years ago already.
that was before Dorian.
Mhm.
How the time goes though,
Wow.
that it's been closed that long.
Interesting.
So the people from, those one or two from Red Rock came here, did any Dorian people come into?
Mhm. They still do.
They
Charlotte
still do.
Angeloff and Diane Williamson.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few that still.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nichols used to,
Sure.
Nichols?
Caroline
Sure.
Nichols, yeah. Then she moved away. And then what's the other couple there that she had red hair? He was a high school teacher. Modines.
Modines.
Yeah, they came and they moved away. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good
That's
then.
from.
And the odd time, look at, strangers come in from other towns that
Yeah.
want to come in on a Sunday or something, and, they're perfectly welcome, because, and if you got what would you call a person that's going from town to town looking for work? or
Transit,
whatever,
yeah.
like, if they happen to come in here, man, I don't think they want to leave, because by the time they feed them and get them set up, they're ready to home. So when we put on our suppers not to raise money, how more comfortable can you get? A wheelchair accessible building all the furniture like this, round tables where you're sitting, where you can,
Yeah.
you know,
Is it? Yeah.
with each other, and all the food you can eat.
So sometimes you must sit back and think, Glenn, how fortunate that we came up with those designs. We came up with those ideas
Oh.
that long ago, never realizing how much they're needed now,
Mhm.
especially accessibility.
Yeah.
That was a number one, because of how the old church was, remember?
Yes.
That was a number one issue, was the accessibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted those, even this, going up, this is something new that's been added.
Oh, see,
Little hand.
Yeah, the boys just did that a few weeks ago.
oh, Herman built them in our church a long time ago.
Yeah.
Amazing, 2 steps, that's all
That's,
you need
you
until you
think,
fall.
yep, yeah.
No, we got them in our church
Yeah.
too. It's all those little things.
Mhm.
And at George O'Neill, they renovated that school years ago, and they had great big railings down all those stairs, and the guy was gonna throw it out, and Todd was there, and I said, Todd, we could use that at our church.
Mhm.
And now we have 2 of them going down our basements that you put your
Nice.
hand on. Those came from George O'Neill, that they were gonna go to the garbage.
Oh.
Well, the hand railing from the old church going down the basement, Larry O'Neill put in his mom's house, because she had no hand railings going down the basement. Because she was so agile, she would just zoop, zoop, up and down the stairs.
Herman and I are hand railing everywhere.
Mhm.
Can, but those ones in our church, I hold on to those sometimes, we end up with 3 of them, I think, and I think, oh, God, we were so lucky
Yeah, to
to
get,
just get them, because it's so easy, and everybody's getting older now that comes to church. But, yeah, things work in mysterious ways sometimes.
for sure.
So one of the things you do regularly, and your church is well known for it, is spaghetti suppers, of course, as fundraisers. But every time there's a special event, I know the people who organize them always say, well, St. Mary's will be having their spaghetti supper. That's all right, you're well known for that.
Oh, well, that's a good.
And I'm sure you've got it down pat.
Oh, yeah,
Sure,
sure.
they especially just comment though how it changed because of COVID,
Oh, yeah,
your suppers.
yes, they went to strictly takeout for a while. And we do have some sit-down now, but, you know, the lack of workers, because everybody's getting older, we use a lot of disposable plates and stuff to minimize the amount of work that we have to do.
And we did the old church. You were even there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a mistake one time in the old church. Mr. Harding, we had a bit of a problem in the kitchen, and so one of the pots had boiled over. It was pretty hot, so we had to dump it for whatever reason. So he ran in the washroom and dumped it in the toilet. Ice cold water, getting hot water in, crack. Water's going through
Middle
the
of a
people.
spaghetti supper. Yeah.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
we learned lots of things the hard way.
And we, just so you know, when we have a fundraiser, we have a list in our kitchen of seniors, shut-ins, just people that we like.
Yeah.
That if we have leftovers, we take it. Glenn and Shirley delivered 3 or 4 of them last spaghetti supper.
Right.
And we just take them the meal. Here's your spaghetti, your bun, your coleslaw, and your ice cream.
Right.
Just because what do we do with it when it's left over? Sometimes if there's lots, it's given whole families. But I just have to let you know, the shut-ins, I talked to one lady after, she was thrilled. She said she hadn't seen Shirley for ages because they worked together. So that was
Oh, yeah.
nice. And she said it was just nice to have a hot supper given to you and with nothing expected in return.
Right.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we take it to Spruce.
Oh, yeah, Spruce Apartments, yeah,
Yeah.
they're always quite
I mean,
helpful.
oh,
If it
they're-
was, yeah.
So appreciative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know, we wouldn't have all this if it wasn't for the volunteers.
Mhm,
Eddie, I'm buried.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Yeah,
buried
very
and cheating,
smart, yeah.
and how many, like, they're just automatic, everybody knows the place.
Well, I could use a picture of spaghetti supper without even coming here anytime, because it's Jeannie and Barry every time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So I don't need to come and take
That's
a
right,
picture,
that's right.
because I've got pictures of them every time.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Like, she'll, after a church service, Shirley will get up and say, I need volunteers for, we're putting something on, eh? And nobody says nothing. I'm not volunteering, because I don't know, you know? And then all of a sudden it'll come the night, and everybody knows their place. You
Yeah.
come in and there's people all over the place, maybe too many.
sometimes too many,
Yeah.
yeah,
and that's a good problem.
yeah.
Yes, that's for sure.
And we have started back on our monthly luncheons as well,
Oh, okay,
so those are starting to pick up.
okay.
But it's still, you get right back to the volunteer. easy accessibility. You take somebody like Shirley and never quits.
Organizes
It
well,
makes me wonder how she keeps going. See that? You know that little bunny?
yeah.
Keeps going?
Oh,
Energizer.
the Energizer Bunny? Oh, I wish I could be like him.
I think it keeps her young.
Yeah, and it's the social aspect. People come, they'll ask me at the store, when are you having your next lunch? I gotta text Shirley, because I don't really know. And they just want to come out, and there's no restaurants in town, you know, other than on the highway, so now they can come and sit here and
Yeah.
sit for an hour and a half and
Yeah.
chit chat with people.
They don't rush.
No, they like that part.
And then because Kathy works in sectors, how fortunate are we? How much support sectors gives us?
Yes.
Yes, they've been, yeah, very.
Both
Zechner's and
stores.
Saunders both,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, they've
Yeah,
been.
We
very
run out of stuff
supportive.
in the middle of a
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Oh, anytime, for any group, I mean.
Yeah.
The lady at the canteen sold more French fries than she ever dreamt.
Yeah.
And it was lucky, ran over, and Leslie opened the store for
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
That was just recently, because there was a big tournament on it.
Mhm.
And she's winding down, so she didn't want to
Yeah, yeah.
overload the potatoes, eh?
Yeah.
But you're right.
Small town,
Yeah.
Yeah, small town,
oh,
yeah, for sure.
can't beat it.
But unfortunately, I attended the sessions on the strategic plan that the town wants to do. And one of the top things is housing and no volunteers for so many things.
Yeah.
Volunteers are becoming very,
Oh,
very
yeah.
scarce.
That's terrible.
And,
See, the young people, they don't get involved.
No, and so that was interesting, because that came up at every session that they had, that's one of the things that we're facing, is the housing shortage and the volunteer shortage. Yeah.
It's sad when you.
And no
sit-
restaurant. That came up.
Yeah,
Kathy,
I'm sure.
as
Oh, really?
no
There's
restaurant.
nowhere to go for coffee without having to go up onto the highway.
Oh,
Yeah, so hopefully the one at the four-way gets open soon.
That's gonna be a restaurant?
Gonna be a coffee bar, I heard, in there.
Oh,
Oh, I knew somebody bought it, but I
Well,
didn't know
Kim
what it
Roy
was.
and Kim Manila.
Kim Roy take.
Anyway, that's what
oh,
I did
okay.
hear.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm game.
You got
But
a
you're
few
right,
things.
that's why the Legion one is successful, just for a few people that go 3 times a week, just socialize.
Well, thank God for Roy and Kim if you're gonna open that up.
Yeah.
That's what we
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're very fortunate to have this beautiful church here. And I just know the accessibility is just a major thing when it comes to funerals,
Yeah.
especially because even at our church now, we've got one coming up, and I know people are very leery about, they can come to the funeral, but to go down for the
The lunch,
reception after.
And it's nice because we have a door from the Sunday school room, so the family comes in that way, so they're not coming in through the main doors.
Okay.
So they come into the there's 2 Sunday school rooms
Right.
that are joined. So they sit there while everybody arrives, so, and then the minister brings the family in at the end. So that's kind of nice, you're not in anybody's face
Right.
sort of thing.
Yeah, you're.
Yeah, the
Neat design.
layout was good.
Just to ask though, do you find that you've got fewer children coming when you're saying young people? Is that-
Absolutely.
Do you have Sunday school?
Yes, we do, yes, every Sunday, and we've got
Oh, yeah, it's 4 today.
4 kids.
Wow,
So 34 people, countless kids.
sad, really.
36.
That's why I'm interested
36, yeah.
in doing the interviews with each of the churches,
Mhm.
because things are changing faster
Yeah.
than we appreciate. And seeing that with the Lutheran and the Baptist did that already, and that's why I feel it's important to have those interviews now recorded for the museum.
Absolutely, it's such a great idea.
It is, definitely.
Okay, thank you to the 4 of you.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you.
Just gotta say thank you to Kirsten.
Yes,
She does a fantastic job. And that's one of our bigger volunteers too.
yeah, that sure is.
You're lucky she's one of the young volunteers.
Yes.
That's right,
Not only here, but the Legion and probably a
Yeah.
couple other things.
yeah.
No, it's unreal, isn't it, really, when you see that, you don't come.